And we've been doing Clayfest and we've been doing conference now. This is our 11th, and some people say, "Oh, he's the rammed earth guy," which is true, but bit by bit, the blood is getting thinner, and other things are starting to flow inside. And so yesterday, I was making slip out there, which is not my job at all. It's a filthy job, and enjoyable. And so all these things are starting to change, and I'm starting to think, well, if I was starting again now, would I be becoming the rammed earth guy? And the truth is I wouldn't, right? I mean, I just wouldn't do that, because actually this mud mind is really about looking at each given situation and responding to the situation, and not with the material. Or it's about responding with the material in the given situation. At the time I started, we had a book. We had a book from 1920. It was a great book. It described things very clearly. And I thought, okay, I will do that. And I became this sort of specialist earth person, which is kind of a strange thing. And little by little, one can see that there are all of these other trades associated and linked with the thing that I do, that are all as equally valid as each other, and which complement each other. But at the same time, I'm quite sort of hard-headed or stubborn, and so I've stuck with my thing. From the age of 22, I've sort of stuck with my thing. And I know that a lot of people don't have the same degree of stubbornness that I do. And Paul was talking about confidence. So you could call stubbornness confidence, or confidence stubbornness, to say, yes, I know what I'm about and I'm just going to stick to it. But a lot of people don't have that, and so now we're starting to think about how do we make these pathways for people to follow. And do we make pathways that say this is the rammed earth pathway, or do we make pathways where all of the paths cross over each other and mesh together? And is that a way of changing I heard this statistic just now that one person in 56 on a UK building site will be a woman. And is that, if we have this singular pathway, is this why that strange statistic has come about? Do we actually need to mix these pathways a little bit and make a little bit more interest and opportunity? Maybe women are less stubborn, and they're more easily bored by just doing the same thing over and over again. They want some interest and opportunity, and maybe that's the part of the thing that we need to be thinking about, and not as concrete in the way that Sarah was talking about. We've stepped now. We've stepped now into this age of XR and of climate emergency. And so whatever it was that brought us into the Earth realm, whether because we're an architect, or whether because we're a builder, or whether because we just don't have any qualifications, or whether because we like old buildings, or in my case because the cost of materials in Africa that involve energy is so high that people can't afford them. Whatever it is that brought us to this point, we suddenly find that we've got this very sustainable material, and we are the vanguard of this sustainable material. And whether we're conservators or whether we're developing world people or whatever it is that has brought us here, we're actually sustainable people. We're in that sort of world. And we don't actually need to we don't actually need to stick ourselves to buildings, right? Because we're offering something else. It's very important that people do stick themselves to buildings to open up a different sort of conversation with that wider world. But I don't feel that's like our job. I feel like our job is to open that dialogue, that space with these materials across professions and trades, across money and rules, and take us to this different space where we can sort of work together. When I started this morning, I had this was my notes, and this is my notes now. I'm really sticking to them. So Tom began the day talking about Jump, which is something that Ibuki has been is a partner with, and Jump is about training for trainers. And I'm still struggling what this means, training for trainers. Am I training a builder? No, I'm training the person that's going to train the builder. So sometimes I teach in architecture school. I just go in and give a lecture. And since we've started Jump, I've started saying to architecture students, you may feel that you're architects or architects in the making, but what I see are trainers. Because if you want to do anything in my world, the things that I'm going to talk to you about, you're going to end up having to train the engineer to come along with you, and you're going to have to train the surveyor, very, very important, the money. And you're going to have to train the client to see things as you see them, and you're going to have to train the contractor. And you'll probably have to train the local authority, and you might have to be involved in training the money, like the bigger, the funder. So the architecture side then is sort of diminishing. It's getting smaller, because actually the bigger part of this is that you're engaging in conversations where you're training people to think like you. That's the architect. The same conversation is true of the engineer. The engineer is going to have exactly the same set of challenges. She's going to have to talk to a whole lot of skeptical people about what it is that she sees, that she wants to happen. And so when I look at you, what I see is a room full of trainers, right? Because whichever bit of the world you're in that's interested in earth building, whether you want to build something yourself or you want to design something or you're already building, your job is about training other people. And that's been quite an interesting, for me, that's been quite an interesting shift in myself, because I came into this thing through cost, about cost and how you would deal with cost. And after some time, I found myself thinking of myself as a salesman, actually, because you have to sell this thing in. There's the client, there's the designer, you've got to sell this thing in. And then after a while, I realized that the way to sell this thing in is to start playing around with standards and regulations, all of these intangible things that we've created to allow us to work. and do the things that we want that aren't written down already. And all the time, I'm also standing on site in my site gear, in my oilskins, and a hard hat, and a big pair of boots, or some shorts and a little t-shirt because it's hot. I was thinking about this. A lot of people's working life, defined by dress, will just be one thing. It'll be a suit, or it'll be, but that's not how it is for me. I have to do all of these different actions in order to make this thing work. I have to fill in a lot of gaps between the call that says we'd like to do something in Earth to finishing something on site. So we talk about wearing lots of different hats. That's a common expression, but I have to wear lots of different clothes. Sometimes I put on a suit. It's quite a strange thing. And then today I can come like this and talk to you. And this just keeps being part of this wider diversity of what this job is in order to bring it into a wider realm. Okay. So we think about, as an organization, we think about a lot of these different issues. You've seen today that Earth building, we've had a bit of Earth technology shown to us, and we've had a whole lot of discussions about a whole wide-ranging lot of other issues, social issues and economic issues, political issues, that all swirl around, that allow us to do things or prevent us from doing things. And as an organization, we have to grapple with these things and bring them into the light and have a look at them and have a discuss of them and reject them or accept them, do things with them. And so this thing about jump and training for trainers is part of that discussion. And Keable is part of that discussion too. And Keable, maybe it thinks about itself as being about our value and you value and all of these things, but it's also about saying to people, this is okay. This meets this set of rules, but it also meets a whole lot of other requirements that we've suddenly find that we have, like making buildings from materials with very little energy to actually make the buildings and also to run those buildings. And so those are also things that we think about as an organization, and which take me further and further away from what I know, which is banging Earth into a mold. And as an organization, there's just all of these opportunities to play around with these different things. And little by little, we become more... We can see these opportunities growing, and that in itself is quite a big existential threat to us, because we're a funny collection of earth builders and architects and other people who. Some of us understand about the running of an organization, and other of us don't. And some of us think that we are earth builders, and that is what we should be doing. And others say, well, yeah, but there are these other issues to be dealt with. And then as the opportunities multiply, we don't have the skills in our smaller group to carry those things out. Some of my skill is in bringing in certain amounts of money, but then I bring in the money and I can't actually do the job for which the money is there for, but others can. And we struggle now to find those others who are going to do those jobs that we can bring that money in for. And essentially what all of this is about is this thing that came up after lunch, which is finding a voice for the earth. Because it doesn't actually speak for itself. Or at least it shouts, okay? It's actually yelling. We're just a bit hard of hearing. And we have to find these bits of language which fits together in a pleasing way to allow us to train others to think as we do. So I think what I'd like to do is what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to say to you that we're a membership organisation, that our fees have just gone up. It's very expensive now, but worth every penny. That you'll get all of these talks online in some way if you become a member. And I'm supposed to thank Kat, because Kat has been here for a long time, just getting on with the job and allowing people to come and open things up and try things out in a remarkable way. There's a lot of people in this room that has had that little bit of opportunity given by Kat, and so I have to thank them for giving us this opportunity. I hope that next year we'll do a full Clay Fest again here, and maybe some of you want to run a workshop, and I've got some crazed idea of building an egg which you throw things at. And I want to thank Lou, because it's fire. Huh? It's fire. It's hot. It's hot, and hot's nice. It's chilly, but it also burns. I mean, it's hard work getting this thing together. And I want to thank Lizzie for timing me out. And I want to thank all of the Ibuki people, because they are so solid. I mean, they are unbelievably solid. They are more than concrete, because they do things without money. They do things with money, and they do things without money. And then finally, I'd just like us to stand in a circle, if we could. Just to finish, just find a bit of the edge to and so I'd like you to take a look at everybody else and see that we've got quite a nice mix of people here. It would be hard to say that this were a unitary group, except that they have this intangible connection of clay. I'd like you to look at each other, because it's only with each other that you can make things happen. This is your network. These are the people that have the understanding, or a part of the understanding that you have, that will allow you to work together. These are the people that you can make connections to, and with, and for. And these are the people that you can join together as Ibuki and try out a whole lot of different things with us. And so I'd like to invite you to join with us as a member, yes, but more importantly, really, to talk to us listen to us, converse with us, try with us, and come back again next year. But don't go away for the rest of the year. Yeah, because actually it's quite difficult to hold this thing together. We hold it together, but it always is at that risk of flying apart because you haven't come and held together. And those of you that didn't sign up for the shindig, I'm sorry, because we're going to have a very good party tonight. Thank you very much.
Oh, so lovely. I just wanted to take this opportunity while we're all together to say that we should all have a big hug because it's so lovely and it's finished. And also to say thank you to Rowland as well, because although we are a huge team and everyone has worked their socks off for this. Siobhan on reception, Tom on reception, Lauren, who's been doing the lunches, Zane, who's been making the teas, the amazing chocolate brownie by I don't know who, maybe Sam, maybe Steve, maybe I don't know. The two amazing German dressed up people who've made my day. Just all the people from all over the world, all the jumpers, everyone, you've made this just such a fantastic day. If you could have seen me at 8 o'clock this morning, I was like someone who'd had a party and was hoping that people might come. And they did. And I'm so happy. Thank you very much. And give everyone near you a hug, please, if you like. Oh, one last announcement. Sorry, one last announcement. There's yoga in here at 5:30. We have about 6 yoga mats, but we can improvise. We've got some earth. So if you want to do some yoga before the shindig, please come back here at 5:30. Thank you.